Okay, so my last recording decided to not actually record anything, so I'm having to re-record this. Hopefully I've lined everything up properly, but it should be alright. Um, so, uh, this is the blueprint, or the UI. So the gems and the timer are just numbers. The health bars are a bit more interesting, however, I'll get onto that in a minute. And the blue bar is again just a strict value, like the gems and the timer. They are. Everything here is bound to something. The gems, the timer, and the fuel and the health bar are all bound to a certain value, whereas the power up is bound to an image, or various different images depending on which power up is equipped. The gems and timer also have a binding to their color. They're white normally, but for example here the timer is red when the time is under 10 seconds. Otherwise it's red. And the gem is the exact same, but that's when it hits the maximum amount of gems you can hold, which is 10,000. As for the actual value, it's just a simple get the value and append it. Same with the time. This is the one for the power-ups, the images. For this one it's just an enum and then put the certain image on. What's next? Fuel. So yeah, this is just get value and equip. For the health, this is actually a bit more complicated. So I need to get the number of which health bar this is. So for example, this is number 4. Then it basically changes the color depending on its number. So it does some math like oh, great English. So it does math to decide whether or not this is the right health bar. So the values in health go in groups of 3. So one health bar is 1 to 3, health bar number 2 is 4 to 6, and so on. So 4 would be 10 to 12. And basically if that number represents that, or is in between those two, then it will actually affect it. Otherwise it'll be either white if it's under that number or green if it's over that number. And then what comes out is the color that is specified. And each one is the exact same, but with a different number for which health bar it is. For the in-game assets I created, there is the timer, which players don't actually interact with, but it just has to sit there anyway, just as a thing to do things. There are timelines, and these are just value for value numbers, so 9 seconds is value 9, and so on. So these make the timers for both the countdown and the fuel go down. The fuel one is actually a bit more complicated than the other one, because the in-game timer is just number for number, but this one has, the fuel has a rate of fuel loss. So the way this one works is you times the current fuel number by the rate of fuel, which in this case is 20, and the fuel value is 0.7, and that would be 1.4. Would it? No, it'd be 14. But anyway, that sets the timeline to 14, which means it takes 14 seconds for that fuel to deplete. and then you times it back up to make sure you don't have decimal points. And then it sends the, then it sets the value. There's also the custom event here to make sure that if it stops, but then I gain more, then it will reset. Or basically it's for whenever I gain more fuel. Just waiting to move on. Right, so the gain health and lose health are basically the exact same. It triggers a custom event, which is in the character blueprint, and then it does the rest from there. For the fuel gain and gem count, it's basically just simple math. It's gain equal to the value of that asset and add it to the current value, and branch if it's above the maximum, then make it the maximum, otherwise put it back to normal, or keep it as the value you initially got. So yeah, at that point the fuel gain trigger is met, and the same is for the gem count. So this time I actually have a value for the for the max gem count. It's currently 10,000, but so if it ever hits 10,000, it will go to 10,000 instead of anything higher. For the character blueprint, here we have the two timers for character timer and health value, and both of them need to be true in order for the character to be able to do anything. So if the timer stops or the health reaches 0, the character can't do anything. And for these sets power, right now it's just a enum, and you set what the enum currently is by pressing the button. I do plan to make that an actual array where you cycle through, but for now that'll do. That's just the begin play add widget. Probably should be in the construction script, but oh well. And for the gain health and lower health, again it works the same way as the gems. You gain a certain number, add it to the current value. If it's above the preset value, make it the preset value instead, or just make it the same. And that is it, I believe. Okay, thank you for watching. And sorry about the rushed added talking.